And then they don't do it.
Yeah. Everybody goes and drops like 10 G's on equipment and then does one episode and never does one again.
I know. And then it's a tendency to make it about the episode and not about the people. And for me personally, I was born in a small town up in Lake Arrowhead. And for me, it's just all about the village and all about connecting people, and business is the lifeblood of that thing. So, the production stuff has to be second to actually caring about people in your neighborhood.
Welcome to the Whissel Way Podcast. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with Whissel Realty Group and eXp Realty here in San Diego.
I'm Clayton, Connolly with Whissel Realty Group.
And the goal of the show is to give you the tools, techniques, and tactics that you need to go out there and crush it in your business, whether that be real estate, mortgage, or really just any business out there. And we like to do that in 30 minutes or less. We want this to be the podcast that you can enjoy on your way to work, on your way home from work, and get the entire thing from start to finish. The way that we like to do that is to answer the questions that you have for us. So rather than us guessing at what you guys want to hear about, we want to just listen to you. And you guys can ask us questions if you go to thewhisselway.com. We can ask questions on there. You can subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel. You can join our referral network so we can keep you in mind for all those people leaving California. And you can find out about upcoming events like our Media Mayor Mastermind, which is a 2-day event where Brian Koch and I go super deep into everything that we've learned over the last 6 years of cranking out videos together. So go to thewhisselway.com. And last, if you enjoy the podcast, we'd love for you to give us a little 5-star rating on whatever platform it is that you're listening. Give us a thumbs up. They're all different these days. So give us a little shout out, throw us a comment, throw us a review. We'd really, really appreciate that. So without further ado, Clayton, this is a question that has come in to me, but honestly, I think you're more suited to answer this question than I am. Because I actually look up to you a lot on a lot of the stuff that you're doing. You have a ridiculously creative brain, and I love the things that you've been able to come up with. So one of the questions we've been getting a lot lately is, everybody knows us for video. That's our jam. That's what we do. But people want to know, what are we doing to adapt our video strategy during COVID? And so having you on the show makes complete sense, because you've been just constantly innovating. You just told me about another thing you innovated, right before we kicked off the podcast today. So let's talk a little bit about how have you personally adapted. But before we do, tell us about your show and what you're doing with video, and then we'll talk about how you've adapted it to COVID.
Cool, Kyle. Well, I've been with Whissel Realty Group 2 years now, and one of the big drivers for me to even join here is to study you. And I initially thought that I had one of the first ideas of how to showcase local businesses from a real estate standpoint. But then when I started doing my research, I found that you'd already done at least 150 shows. So I thought, great, I got to saddle up with this guy. Since we've been here and under your tutelage, I began what's called OBTV. I live in the town of Ocean Beach, San Diego, and I love it. And from that place, I've been able to start, we call it authentic conversations with local business owners, just to see what makes them tick.
I love it. Yeah, if you guys have not checked out Clayton's show, it's OBTV. It's on Facebook. It's on Insta. Are you on YouTube also?
Yeah, but most of the action comes from Facebook.
Facebook's where it's at, OBTV. Super, super cool show. If you guys have never been to Ocean Beach, it's a very unique place. I know when I go to OB, I feel like I'm in a different world. Yeah, so it's a trip, literally.
It's a unicorn farm.
It is. Sometimes you go to places where they say like no shirt, no shoes, no service. That doesn't exist in OB.
It's a prerequisite.
Yeah, it's kind of weird if you go into like somewhere in OB with shoes on. Like they kind of look at you funny.
Right. No, that's true. And so that's what we actually try to capture about it, and that's why it's actually interesting when we're able to tell the stories of the residents and businesses there.
What's your favorite one you guys have done so far?
That's a good question. Well, my favorite one early on was they have what's it called? The float tank. Something I forget what it's called now, but it's
like a salt bath.
It's a salt bath that you go in and you float in like 4 inches of water, and it's a chamber. What's the word?
It's like a capsule, right? It encapsulates you.
And you come in and you lose all sense of time and space, and you just really relax. And it's awesome. So that was really fun. And one thing that I like to do in my shows is actually participate in something. So it's like either making a cappuccino, and I don't make those at home, so that's fun. But in this one, I got to just get into my skivvies and hop in there and go for a spin on that, and so that was really fun. I like the restaurants now as well too. It's really fun to go into some of these restaurants and actually see what makes them work. And my experience has been some of the restaurants, it's like, oh my gosh, that's it. You just have this little snack bar behind here, and then it looks really great in front. And then other times you're like, whoa, this is legitimate. You have these giant smokers, and everybody here is just, doing the thing pro style. So that's been a fun, thing that I've been able to get into. And there's so much to learn.
Yeah, the restaurant owners are just the coolest people too.
They are.
I mean, nobody gets into the restaurant industry to get rich. Like the margins that restaurants have to run at is crazy low. Everybody gets into it because they love to serve people. They love to make people happy. And it's fun to see how much passion. Like I know most of the interviews we've done on restaurants, like when you ask them like, what are the ingredients? Love is one of the ingredients in almost every family owned restaurant. Like there's so much love that goes into everything that they do. And there's so much passion. It's just, honestly, it's an honor to get to hear some of these stories sometimes.
Well, I think that's probably a prerequisite for any restaurant that's been in business for 2 to 4 years that has survived. Our next drop is the Ocean Beach Barbecue House, and it started like as a little snack bar in a bar 30 years ago. And the owner's been able just to continue growing and growing and growing. Now they're legitimate, huge full-scale operation, one of the main places to check out in Ocean Beach. So it's been really cool to be, he was an immigrant, just to be part of his American dream story. And like you say, it is made with love, and everybody that is part of the culture rallies around that.
I love it, man. Cool. Well, that's the show again. It's OBTV. But what we want to talk about is the adaptations you've made as we've gone through COVID. So let's talk about like what are some of the things you first did when COVID hit, and what are you doing now to consistently innovate the show?
Mm-hmm. When COVID first hit, one of the things that was important where we were able to, from our conversation, say, how do we, come from service? And, when everybody first got on lockdown, one of the big questions for all businesses, who's open right now? And who's serving customers, and how are they doing that? How are they innovating? So what we did in Ocean Beach was I started this little post series called OB Open. And what that was is it gave businesses an opportunity. So instead of us coming out with our film crew and doing all of these things, we just simply asked different people there, like the lawyer, the speech therapist, the brewery, hey, what are you guys doing right now? And so they would send us a 60-second video saying, hey, this is, Stan over here at Kilowatt Brewery, and we're open right now for drive-through beers, and we'd love for you to come by and support. So from 2 to 5 o'clock, they'd be open, and we'd post it on social media, and then we'd put $5 behind it. And it would go out to a few hundred people, maybe 750 to about 1,200 people, and a lot of people would show up at these different establishments and say, yeah, we saw you on OBTV, and we're so glad that you're open. And for the business owners themselves, they were just felt supported, and I think that was probably one of the biggest impacts, is that they were seen and they felt like there was some hope.
Yeah, because it's when this thing first hit, especially, it was scary. I mean, for all industries, right? Some industries have thrived through this, and some are just trying to survive. And so to be there to support people when they're, in that scary place, just trying to survive, it's a cool feeling to know that you can help them out a little bit. And whether it gets them one new customer or 100 new customers, just to help somebody, in that time of need is something that people don't forget.
No, and it blew some wind in their sails too to keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and so what was the next evolution?
Well, so we still do that, actually. We still do OB Open. The next one.
That one's kind of nice too, because you don't even have to leave the office, huh?
No, I don't do much. No.
Yeah.
At first, it was like, hey, send me a little video, and I was getting videos sent from different people, and I'm able to make friends and all that stuff. And then now that stores are open, I'm able to actually go there in person and say, hey, can we tell? Here's an opportunity to say what your hours are, what you're specializing in, and also just how you're being safe, because every store that's open, every business wants everybody to know that we're open and we're COVID friendly and we're looking after you. So that's really nice to actually go up in person and meet them and then showcase them for that.
How is OB with masks? OB is so unique. I'm wondering, is it almost weird if you wear one there?
Well, it's a mix. OB is really strange. I would say that the locals put masks on right away, and we have this element of health consciousness. So if you go to like People's Co-op, everybody's not just 6 feet away, they're like 10 feet away, and everything is getting wiped down like crazy. And it's one thing with this sort of higher level of, just social awareness that they, it's part of their brand. But then you go to downtown on Newport Street and you see businesses trying to play by the rules, which is fine. And then you have a mix of locals that maybe live at the beach and are like camping.
Literally
without
live
permits.
at the beach.
And then there's this sort of hippie thing. And then there's a lot of tourists. And a good example is every Wednesday, the whole, drum circle open bazaar is in full force. And we actually call it COVID Chilla. And there's slack line going on and drums and all, and there's no consciousness towards that whatsoever. But if you go into a restaurant, everybody is seated in a spacious way or out on the street. So it's a big mix, and everybody has an opinion about it. And such as OB.
I love it. All right, cool. So OB Open, what has been something new that you've added? What's another twist?
Well, I would say this much. This is something worth, if anybody is in the real estate scene and wanting to do interviews with people, our interview strategy changed a little bit. So when we sit down and interview, Bravo's Cantina, for instance, we ask them 3 questions. We say, what's your superpower? How have you adapted during COVID? And so they get to share that. And then the third one is along the lines of, why stay open? Why keep doing it? And that gets to people's hearts really quickly because not only are they open, they're able to share what they bring to the table. They're able to share during COVID how they're adapting, which they want people to know. And then thirdly, the compelling why behind it. So we've modified our questioning to that, and that's gone really deep. Additionally, what I've done for my personal business is as a realtor, I used to door knock and the neighborhood, and now that's somewhat frowned upon and I don't feel that great doing that personally, we do business knocking. And so it's like that. Now I have an opportunity to go to businesses, check up on them, and even just as simple as going to the Mad Munch grilled cheese in Ocean Beach and just saying, hey, oh my gosh, dude, I'm so glad you're open. I love your Reuben grilled cheese. Hey, can I just do a little post for you right now and get you a little publicity for free? And they're like, oh my gosh, yes. So on Tuesday afternoons, I have an opportunity, and I try to hit about 10 locations and just saying hi and just DJing their content or just saying, hey, the little free thing of value is just posting that you stopped by there. So that's an activity that I'm doing right now to make friends, to support the community, to stir the pot and bring everybody together.
Are you dropping all, let's say 10 people say yes, are you doing them all that day, or are you recording them and then releasing them over time?
These are just simple. Sometimes it's just one ongoing story. If it does seem like it's somebody new, then I can do an OB Open at that time and then stash that. But a lot of it's just repeat, checking in on friends and seeing how they're doing and that sort of thing.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I mean, everybody always wants to go buy the expensive camera and the expensive lighting and have the videographer and do all the things. And all you need is this little cell phone right here.
That's
I mean, you don't even need a selfie stick. Just stretch your arm out. It doesn't need to be perfect. Like the cool part when you do live video is there's no expectation of perfection. People know it's live, it's raw, it's uncut, it's unfiltered. It's expected that it's going to be, a little shaky, not the best audio and all that. And that's the best part. You don't have to go crazy. Everybody wants to spend money.
And then they don't do it.
Yeah. Everybody goes and drops 10 G's on equipment and then does one episode and never does one again.
I know. And then it's a tendency to make it about the episode and not about the people. And for me personally, I was born in a small town up in Lake Arrowhead. And for me, it's just all about the village and all about connecting people, and business is the lifeblood of that thing. So, the production stuff has to be second to actually caring about people in your neighborhood.
That's awesome. All right, one more then. What's the next idea that you have?
The next,
because Lord knows that top hat is full of ideas.
That's my thinking cap. Next idea really is, and we've talked about it a bit, is there's a lot of traditional networking groups, and some of that just has some ring to it that people may be turned on or turned off to. But what I'm interested in is all the relationships that I've had is introducing people to other people, and maybe the restaurant owner over here could really benefit from knowing the wine guy or the CBD girl. And so what we're kicking up here real soon is what I call the Main Street Mafia. And so that's where we're going to do weekly Zoom calls. But instead of going somewhere traditionally and paying $15 for some weird cold eggs or something and calling it a networking group, it's like, no, let's just all hop on at 9:00 on Tuesday morning for a half an hour, and we're just going to meet some people that you need to know. And it's not about how many people can come necessarily. It's about the relationships that are cultivated in that, and just simply introducing Jessica to Shannon, so they can know each other and cross-pollinate clients, and again keep each other strong on a local level.
I mean, the beauty of that is when you become the connector of the community, guess who the community is going to connect you with, right?
Yeah.
They're going to connect you when somebody talks about, I need to buy, I need to sell. You're going to be the guy that they connect them with, because they're so used to you connecting everybody together. Like, oh my gosh, Clayton introduced me to this person and that person and this person. Like, I finally get to introduce somebody to him. It's amazing how that works.
Well, that's and people ask me, they're like, why are you doing this? So it's like, first of all, I live here and this is what I get to do and I'm passionate about it. But it really comes down to, sometimes they even say, I don't spend a ton of money on bus benches and all that stuff, but I do spend my marketing promoting other people. And my whole theory is the golden rule of, promote others the way I want to be promoted. And hopefully, and it does, it goes full circle and everybody wins that way.
I love it. Some awesome ideas. Again, Clayton Connolly, part of the Whissel Realty Group. If you have not checked out his show, it's OBTV. OB stands for Ocean Beach, which is a funky little beach town here in San Diego. The way we like to wrap the show up, Clayton, is to talk about something we like to call the Whissel Widget of the Week. This is something that we use in our business that either saves us time, makes us more money, or just helps us have a little bit more fun. So I would love to find out what you got in your hat today.
Oh, my widget of the week is a clock.
A clock?
Yep, the one on my phone. It keeps me in time. It's better than the sundial, and and also the alarm on the clock that keeps me posted.
I feel like people don't use their alarm and their reminders enough on their phone.
Well, that's true. And one thing I learned from you is actually using voice, to remind yourself, reminders on that. And so that's what I'm doing all the time, because I know that's where the future is and where it's going is voice operated. So it really does come down to, call Derek at 2:00 about, refinancing. And then it tells me.
Because Lord knows, as realtors, we're like pinballs, man. We're just bouncing all over the place. Like, it is so easy to forget about things, especially if you're out on the road or something, just to be able to hit that button and tell Siri to remind you to call your friend at 2:00. Like, it's powerful.
Now, I don't know if that's where you wanted to go with.
No, that works. But no, we go super simple, or Brian puts like some stupid thing around his neck that he like attaches a camera. I wonder, did he have that during the birth? Did he use it? I don't know.
I don't think so.
But Brian will bring out all kinds of weird gadgets and gizmos. So,
but you know what? Actually, I mean, it's overlooked that we do have a timekeeper on us all the time. And I actually, over different seasons of my life, I set my alarm every hour with reminders to actually cultivate my affirmations and incantations, or just be like, hey, breathe for 10 seconds, take some 3 deep breaths, do some Wim Hof, whatever it is, to actually get centered, because I have to learn to toggle from right brain to left brain all day long to keep fresh. And my reminders keep me into the game so I don't float off too much into my brain.
I love that, dude. The one I want to share today is something that's so simple and something I resisted for a long time. For those of you that have known me for many years, you guys know I was hardcore Android. From the day the Android phone came out, I was like first guy on the bandwagon and rode that bandwagon hard and screamed about Android from the rooftops. But one of my favorite features on the Androids was the fact that I could swap the battery out when it would die, because Lord knows the battery on these phones dies extremely quickly. So it's nice to just like, oh, battery's dead, pop one out, pop a new battery in, I'm back to 100%, let's go. Didn't have to live connected to a charger all day. But then Android stopped with the removable batteries, and I was like, all right, I guess it's time to go to iPhone. So I made the move over to iPhone a few years ago, and the one feature that I love the most is when you combine these two devices together. If you are just listening to the podcast, I'm holding up my MacBook Pro and my iPhone right now. These two devices, when used in combination with each other, are magical. Primarily just using iMessage on the Mac. the ability to not have to be picking up my phone all day long when I'm working and have all of my text messages are right there on my computer, and I'm able to respond to everything with my keyboard. I'm not having to pick up my phone and crush my thumbs all day long. I'm able to just set my phone down and just stay focused. I can have my text messages over in the corner of my screen when I need to, but the ability to seamlessly transition from phone to computer, computer to phone with iMessage is an absolute game changer. Like I completely love that. When I was on Android, there were like apps that would like kind of do that, but none of them were seamless. The seamlessness of iMessage on a MacBook when you're utilizing an iPhone is just such a time saver, because constantly having to pick up your phone and read messages, I can just have it buried in the corner of my screen. And then when I'm done working on what I need to, I can go check my messages and just respond on a keyboard. Like, so much more efficient.
Do they still even make Androids, Kyle?
I know there's at least one guy in our office that still has an Android. I mean, I know that Android came out with a lot of cool features in the beginning, but you're doing yourself a disservice to still be on an Android with the things that you can do. Just iMessage alone, if for nothing else, getting into that part of the Apple ecosystem, to be able to manage all of your text messages on your computer, not having to pick your phone up constantly, like that alone is just freaking massive. Maybe they've added on Android something that actually functions consistently, but last time I was on it, it was crap.
It's good for video games, I hear.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can like do a lot of customizations, but if your phone's really good out of the box, you don't need to customize it. So
good point.
Yeah, well, that's what we got for you guys today. I hope you got a lot of value out of the show. Again, if you have questions you want to have us answer on a future episode of the show, you can go to thewhisselway.com. You can ask us questions on there. You can join our Facebook group where we share a lot of the stuff we're working on inside our own office. We even share little snippets from our office meetings, right, Tom? And you can subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel, join our referral network, and lastly, find out about upcoming events that we have going on, like our Media Mayor Mastermind event, which is a 2-day event where we rent out a killer house and bring 20 people in and just unpack everything we have learned when it comes to creating video over the last 6 years together. We did a virtual one during COVID, but I'm ready to be back in a house with people. We just did a mastermind a week ago. We had 50 people in a house for one of our EXP masterminds, and we had every single person get a COVID test prior to entry. It was kind of a trip, dude. People literally showed up at the airport, got in an Uber, told the Uber driver, I need to go through the COVID clinic on the way to the house because they won't let me in without a negative test. Could you imagine being the Uber driver and the person gets in your car like, yeah, I need to go get a COVID test?
I know. I wonder... That's a good opportunity for the Uber drivers to get one too.
Yeah, that had to be. I know
that had to trip him out, huh?
Yeah, like, did you just get in my car? But needless to say, it was a killer event, and it was nice knowing that everybody, it was kind of like we created our own little bubble for a few days. Yeah. There's just something, we talk about connection, like there's something about being in person and that connection that's created. It's really fun. You know, the traditional real estate event is like in a ballroom at a hotel, and it's like, you're there from 9 to 5 with a bunch of breaks, but as soon as 5 o'clock hits, everybody just scatters all over the place, and you go hang out with like your one or two friends that you already know, but you're not meeting new people, you're not connecting, you're not sharing. So it's super fun when we do this event because, like, yeah, we wrap from 9 to 5 or around there, but then there's all the conversations after that around the dinner table, around the fire pit, right, where we're starting to talk about like, hey, I know they talked about this and we're thinking about doing that, and this is what we're doing, that's what we're doing. Like, it's cool to watch that part of the event.
Well, in like Think and Grow Rich, they talk about when two people come together that it creates third mind, and it's just so much more conducive in a social setting where you have some time to do that. Big benefit.
For sure. Well, Clayton, dude, it's been fun having you on the show. I appreciate you coming in today, filling in Brian's seat. And for those of you guys that are listening or watching, appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Whissel Way Podcast. Wait. Before you leave, I want to share some more tips and tricks that we're using in our business to take it to that next level. Just click right here. And don't forget to subscribe. Click right here.